from our studios in the historic Brooks Mansion, located in Northeast Washington, D.C. This is Student Exposure. With the resurrection of the streetcar in the H Street corridor, D.C. residents and patrons now have renewed interest in the area. H Street is now positioned as an exciting destination for entertainment and new residents. The colliding worlds of the old H Street and new H Street come together in this Student Exposure segment with fascinating interviews detailing different experiences in this neighborhood.
My name is Jeremiah Cohen. I've been in this neighborhood for about almost 2 years. I run and own Bullfrog Bagels. It's probably like the only bagel shop within a couple miles of here. I'm going to say that for this neighborhood, I'm pro-density. I'm pro-height for this neighborhood. Why? Because it's not going back in time. There is no green space. It might as well go the full Monty of up and create the density and create even more business in these shops and restaurants and bars. Frankly, there are a lot of places on this street and not enough customers. So the only thing that's going to fix that is more people, more density.
I'm actually the chairman of the Economic Development and Zoning Committee for ANC 6A, which reviews zoning and historic changes to the area. There have been a lot of changes. When we first moved in, there weren't as many bars and restaurants. There have been a lot more that have been coming in. The big change over the last 5 years, though, that we've seen is really more density coming in, more apartment buildings that are being developed. You have the Maryland that just came in on the corner. That was a huge change. That kind of changed the look of the neighborhood quite a bit. Now you're seeing a lot more apartments coming far down, both on Benning Road and farther down on H Street. So that's the big change. The ones that have been here the longest are the ones that are going to be pushed out. The biggest example is they're in the alley behind our house. There are two auto body shops that have been around for, I want to say, like 50 years. They've just been here forever. One of them is already sold for a new development. It's going to become, I believe, 4 apartment units and a loft apartment and retail. And there's another auto body shop that's right behind our house that's also similarly, everyone kind of speculates eventually it's going to go be purchased and redeveloped. And the owners even said that he would probably sell it as soon as someone made him a good offer. What's the future look like for this area? We love this neighborhood. We've loved it since we moved in. It's interesting. A friend of mine has lived on 14th Place for 25 years, and I always used to come over here and visit and think, this place is awful. It's scary. I don't want to live here. I'd never want to live here. And when we were looking to buy, my wife actually suggested, this neighborhood, and I thought she was crazy. And then we started to look around. It's like, wow, actually, it's nice. It's much nicer than I remember. And it's really developed a lot since then. And I think the future is kind of murky because you're getting huge changes coming in. The density is going to change a lot. You're getting a lot of different types of people moving in. And there's a huge gentrifying aspect of that, and a dynamic where you get the older residents who don't really appreciate the development that's coming in, and the new folks coming in, and a lot of people that view this area not as an old residential neighborhood, which is what the people that live here used to think about it, but see it as an entertainment district. And so that's really been an interesting dynamic. I think that's going to continue going forward, but it's a fun place to live, and it's a great community, and we have a lot of friends, and it's just a really nice community.
And joining me now to discuss this segment is DCTV student producer Sage Salvo. Sage, welcome to Student Exposure.
Thank you for
We
having
were
me.
just talking kind of like in the middle of the little break, and there are tons of changes going on in and around the DC area. I remember when I was little, it used to be known as Chocolate City, right? And that's kind of changing just a tad, or maybe the chocolate has been placed around different quarters of the city. So H Street, booming, streetcars there, it's attracting new people, tourists even. Why did you pick this particular neighborhood to kind of focus on how this may be, or how this neighborhood may be also resembling other changes citywide?
Yeah, you know, H Street represents sort of what's going on in DC as a whole, because there's so much intense development going on there. The businesses have come in so quickly, and residents have been moved out or displaced at such a rate that we felt like it was really a good hotspot for taking the temperature around what's going on in DC as a whole.
And so, in particular, I think that the H Street corridor is getting much younger as well, getting a little bit more diverse in terms of age, religion, ethnic background. And so, people go there to kind of, for what, entertainment, and I mean, what else is new in H Street that we don't know about besides the streetcar?
The condos, and you heard our guest speak about, density. And that's the buildings are getting taller. They're attracting more millennials. These are younger folks with smaller families who can afford to live in smaller spaces because they don't have as many kids. And so you're seeing the area become much more dense, and it's growing taller. And that's the new businesses. Those are the condos, the apartments. And it's really designed to attract a certain kind of new resident that can live in a dense environment. So you're seeing the demographics skew down in age. You're seeing income go up. And you're certainly seeing the displacement of the traditional residents who are largely African American with more of a diverse base.
Absolutely. So with H Street, can you think of any other neighborhoods in particular that might be kind of like Bloomingdale? It's kind of doing the same kind of boom in terms of being more diverse, but not necessarily growing up.
Yeah.
Can you think of any other places in the city where you think this
U Street is another interesting one as well.
Okay.
Yeah, U Street is a bit of a different mix because they've tagged some of the historic places like the Howard Theater. But once you go down the corridor, you see the new restaurants popping up.
Yes.
You see the new apartments popping up. So U Street's another area that I think mirrors H Street a little bit.
Absolutely. As a Howard University grad, I know that 7th Street corridor
Absolutely.
and the H Street corridor, lots of things are certainly changing. What is the new neighborhood? In the Shaw neighborhood even. Shaw's changing
district.
a whole lot.
And they've tabbed that under one of the programs called Great Streets. So that corridor has been tabbed for specific development, innovation development. There's a new innovation hub that's going to be connected with Howard University called the Luma Labs, right off of 7th Street, like you just said.
You're right. You're absolutely right. So what did you gain? What did you learn about this process and going through learning through more about H Street in particular, and how were you able to incorporate your new information in the piece?
So it's interesting. My main takeaway from this piece was that the H Street corridor in particular and the streetcar represents what I think is going to be a symbol of class distinction. You're going to have your tourists, you're going to have your new residents. They're going to utilize that particular streetcar. Right now it's very limited.
Right.
It takes you from about Union Station over to
And
Benning.
it's kind of costly.
It's going to be very costly. And I think these are going to be on purpose because your traditional residents mostly still going to be on foot or on the bus because the bus still runs down that corridor.
Right.
So I think you see a line being drawn in terms of who's going to be using that streetcar and who's not.
Okay. Well, so we'll have to keep our eyes out to see how and if things change in the H Street corridor. Thanks again
Absolutely.
for joining me, Sage.
Thank you.
H Street has transformed from an historic black neighborhood devastated by the riots of the 1960s to a new entertainment destination for the 21st century. With the streetcar now providing more opportunity for both locals and tourists to travel the corridor, the future seems even more likely to bring dramatic change. For more information about the H Street corridor, please visit hstreet.org or dcstreetcar.com.